What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. So as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about the time I relapsed in jail, and I think it's really important to talk about all of those struggles because many of you see my life now and you see that I'm sober and thriving and happy, but it didn't always look like this, and I never want to sugarcoat that. I want to let you all know how long my battle was and how much I fought to stay sober and how many times I failed. I didn't use for a few years and then just get sober and everything worked out, and I never want anyone to confuse those things. So if you are new, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a recovering addict who served time in prison, and I'll leave my whole life story in the description box down below. If you want to follow me on any other social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever going to be $2. All of that is linked down below as well. And I have a second channel where you can see my family and vlogs and just kind of random stuff that I do in my life over there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I have done many parole violations, and sometimes that was 6 months, sometimes that was 90 days. Whatever the situation was, I got locked up again, right? And that was always because I was not sober, and I didn't stay sober, and I failed my drug screens, or I would abscond from parole because I knew I was gonna fail my drug screens, and I went on the run. I was on the run, was it 3 times? Yeah, I've been on the run 3 times, and that is a whole video for another time. I think I have mentioned it in a past video, but that lifestyle is awful because you're looking over your shoulder and it's a very stressful, intense thing. But at the time that I was in that lifestyle and in that world, I did not know of medically assisted treatment. I did not know of a jail that would help you detox. I just knew that every time I go in, it's cold turkey and it's painful and it hurts. You have restless leg syndrome, you're throwing up, you're pooping everywhere. It's really, really bad. You can't eat, you can't sleep. It's the most awful thing ever to detox from heroin, and I knew that that was always going to be what I had to deal with, you know? I know that jails across this country have changed that, and they are starting to help you detox with medication, but I never experienced that ever in my life. I have gone cold turkey so many times. Keep that in mind when I'm sharing this story, that this is just my personal experience, and everyone has different experiences with this. Every state is different, every jail is different. It's also 2020, so times have changed. Jails and facilities and prisons across this country are starting to realize that they need to start helping addicts, especially in the detox stage of addiction. So I get arrested, and my parole officer takes me to the jail, and I get booked in. The time before this arrest, I had a couple of wax bags of H, and I had it in my inseam in my pants, and I was able to get it in the jail, but that was gone, I think, within the first day. I wasn't very good at weaning myself off of that substance. I had no self-control. I always told myself I would wean myself off of it, but I never could, and that was because my substance abuse disorder was so bad. I never was able to wean myself off of it. So the jail that I was in made you wait 3 days for a TB test, and just to make sure you don't have TB, tuberculosis, before you're put in general population. So I had been at the jail for a few weeks. I had gone through the detox process, the TB test process, all of that, and I was in GP, and I was with people that I knew, a lot of people that I knew. I was a month in, a month sober, feeling better. The problem here is when you do quit any substance that you've been using long term, it is very difficult to feel good even after the physical withdrawal goes away. It takes a long time for your brain, your neurotransmitters to repair, for you to feel things. Like, I wasn't feeling happy, I wasn't feeling good, I was just ugh. You know, I just felt meh. And that meh feeling, can't describe it differently than that, was constantly the reason for my relapses. You know, either that or because I couldn't handle detoxing. So I would relapse for that reason, or because I just didn't feel good, or I thought, oh, I got sober, so now my tolerance is 0, and this is so great, because that is the delusional mindset of me at that time in my active addiction. So I had been sober for about a month in this jail. In jail, you always know what's going on. You always know, like, what's up with everyone because you're bored and you're in jail. Same thing in prison. You know what's going on. You see every little thing because we people watch and we're super bored. So like if you think an officer is cute, I see you look at him, like I just know, or her, I know what it is, you know? And the situation was the same in this instance. I knew that pills had came into this jail. Within an hour of them coming into the jail, I was up in that cell. And I sold everything that I had to get as many as this person would sell to me. During this parole violation, I was comfortable. I think this was just a 90-day PV. I did have a person sending me money on the outside, and I was comfortable. And when I say comfortable in jail, I just mean I had hygiene items, I had a little bit of commissary to eat, and I was okay. I was doing okay. So I bought 3 pills, which was very expensive in jail, and I ended up giving her almost everything that I had that she wanted. Now, hygiene items I got to keep, but all of my coffee, all of my food, all of my soups, anything that she asked for, you know, a couple of different things that I had that she wanted that was contraband, and I gave her everything that I had. That's jail and prison life, is if you want something and it's a high dollar item like a substance like that and you really want it, you'll sell everything you have, or you'll get into debt. And that's how people run into problems in jail, is that they see that someone got something in, whatever it is, and the price in jail is extremely high because the risk is high and it's difficult to get, and well, not super difficult to get, but just for 3 pills that would have cost me $40 on the outside, cost me probably $100 on the inside, and that was a good deal. But not only did I give her everything that I had, I also had to get her a few things off commissary the next week. This is expensive. So those 3 pills, I took them over the course of 2 days, and I stayed high for 2 days. And someone that I really wanted to see came to visit me during that time. It was a weekend, and I refused the visit. Now this happened a lot. The reason why I don't talk about my time in New York a lot is because I spent that time chasing drugs. I spent that time refusing visits, chasing drugs, getting in fights, didn't care to change my life. I had a really bad attitude. I was constantly getting written up by the correctional officers, constantly put in lockdown, and I just had a really bad attitude. And if there was a substance in a jail, at that time in my life, I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I'm using it, I'm finding it. I was just always in the mix, and you couldn't tell me anything. So a person that I love very dearly came to the jail to visit me. I was high, and I told the CO, I'm refusing the visit. A couple of days later, I tried to call that person, and they said to me, I can't believe you would turn down a visit when I drove an hour to see you. But I was so selfish in that moment. I was so selfish. I didn't want them to see me high. I couldn't let the correctional officers really take a good look at me or go through the strip search or do any of that to get to a visit because I was high. Because I'm gonna nod out in this visit because I look like shit, and I know I look like shit, and I couldn't let anyone know that, so I stayed to myself for 3 days. I was always letting people down that loved me, and I didn't even see it at the time. I just thought, like, what do you care? I'm the one in jail. What do you care? I'm the one addicted. What do you care? I'm the one doing all these things. Like, but the people that you love the most get caught in the crossfire of your active addiction, and I wish I knew that back then. I wish I could see it, but I was so blind to it. And if you tried to tell me that I couldn't use drugs, if you tried to come in between me and my addiction, you and I are gonna have problems. I would fight people at the drop of a hat. I would be so confrontational, and I relapsed over a dozen times, both in and out of jail. A dozen's probably not accurate. I probably relapsed more times than that, but I'll never forget that moment in jail. I made that decision. I was sober. I didn't need it. I wasn't detoxing anymore. There was no real reason for me to sell everything that I had, plus get this chick more stuff on commissary the next week just for 3 pills to stay high for a few days. Like, I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to do that, but I wanted to do that. And that was my mentality. I'm gonna do whatever I wanna do, and who are you to tell me otherwise? I truly believe that those that love people in active addiction have it the hardest, because addicts in active addiction, we get to escape and we get to use a substance and not feel all the pain and not feel everything that we're going through. And that's why more often than not that we use, our loved ones just have to watch us, and they don't know how to help us, and it's frustrating and it's heartbreaking, and they spend half their time just trying to get through to us. And I never understood the perspective of a loved one until now, because I love so many people in active addiction that I have tried helping the whole time I've been sober, and it's very, very difficult and gut-wrenching. I have lost so many friends to overdoses that I can't even count them. It would take me a few minutes to actually think of everyone. That's how many people that I've lost in active addiction because of an overdose. If you have a loved one in active addiction, I'm so sorry, and I hope they get better, and I would highly recommend Al-Anon meetings. They helped me so much. They helped me understand that I'm not in control of that situation, and I matter too, because a lot of times when you love an addict, they are selfish, and I'm speaking from my perspective. I was selfish and I didn't see what I was putting my family through. So if you're going through that, just know that you are not alone. If you're in active addiction watching this and you think that you can't get out, you are wrong. You are so much stronger than you know. There were so many moments where I gave into temptation just because I felt meh. And I promise you that that gets better, but it takes time. You didn't get into active addiction overnight. You didn't get addicted overnight. So it's not going to get better overnight. You have to give yourself the same amount of time. You have to fight for sobriety just as much as you fight to stay in active addiction. And I know that it's hard, but if I did it, there's no reason why you can't. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, whatever that looks like to you, because there is no wrong way to recover. And I will see you in my next one.